sitting side saddle in the bed.
Well, also it hurts my knees to sit cross-legged right now, so.
Oh, okay.
I just want to be comfortable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Abby.
Hey guys, it's Caitlin.
We are fresh off some white people tacos, so I am so sorry if we sound like gurgled or something. I don't know. I feel like there's like cheese stuck in my mouth. I don't know how to explain it.
Absolutely have a piece of a tortilla chip stuck in my tooth. It's not gonna move until I floss. So it's just gonna be there.
It's just living there for now.
It's along for the ride
Is
home.
it paying rent at least?
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
The
Eviction
nerve.
notice. We are really excited about this episode because this is actually our first television episode.
This is.
So we have not only reviewed film, movies and film, and I think this week I knew I didn't have that much of an interest in the new Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm. And neither did I.
No one would be surprised.
Shocked to no one.
Shocked to zero people. And we really needed to watch the new season of Black Mirror, and I figured since it's been out for a little bit, it was released June 15th, Black Mirror fans for the most part have already watched it and would be willing and open to a spoiler episode. Because if we released this like June 19th, like right after it came out, I don't think it would have been like appropriate to release a spoiler free episode.
No, that would have been very disrespectful.
Because the entire thing of Black Mirror is twists and shocking moments that you
can't predict,
either can't predict or are completely disturbed by, one or the other. And so we felt like giving it a little bit of time and releasing a little bit later, we can talk really openly about these episodes. So we are both very excited. We will go in order of each episode. I just need to first tell the story of when I first introduced Caitlin to Black Mirror.
Let's tell.
I was fresh off the heels of watching San Junipero, which everyone knows is arguably one of the best Black Mirror episodes of all time, and also arguably one of the best episodes of TV ever, period, made.
Okay.
I believe it won the Emmy for writing and direction, I want to say. So it's like pretty celebrated in the community, not just Black Mirror fans. And I was like, all right, well, I want to show her San Junipero, but I also feel like we just need to like start at the beginning and get her like introduced to the Black Mirror world. I completely forgot that the first episode is the pig episode. And I think I lost you within 5 or 10 minutes.
It was very soon into the episode that I looked at you and I said, what in the hell are we watching?
You were like, I don't want to watch this.
I couldn't.
And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, we weren't even married yet. Like we were dating and I'm trying to like show you this new show that I love. And it did not go well.
I was traumatized.
You were absolutely mortified.
I was so appalled. And I was just like, what the fuck is this?
But I did turn you around with San Junipero.
You did. And you won me back. There were a couple episodes. I think you didn't show me San Junipero right away, though.
I didn't. No, we went in complete order.
We went in order. And I think the Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
That's a good one.
I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I saw San Junipero and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I took you through a lot of them. And I think I noticed you disassociate through a lot of them. Like some of them are a little too much for you, I feel. And I'll be interested to hear if any of these episodes from season 6 are too much for you.
We will see.
I'm particularly excited about these episodes because I will be honest, I did not like season 5. That was like the Miley Cyrus season.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
See? Vaguely. It's the last season and you don't really remember it.
It was not super impactful to me. Yeah.
So I was hoping that since there was some time that passed, that maybe this season would be new and fresh and would also like bring back like that feeling that old Black Mirror would give me. So I'm excited to dive in. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Starting off with episode 1 is Joan Is Awful. The synopsis is: an average woman is stunned to discover a global streaming platform has launched a prestige TV drama adaptation of her life, in which she is portrayed by Hollywood A-lister Salma Hayek. So, Caitlin, what are your thoughts on Joan Is Awful?
To boil my thoughts into like one cohesive sentence and thought, I think it was a really cool concept for a Black Mirror episode, and I just did not love the writing.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that I thought were really cool and I really liked. There were parts of it that were really funny.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the funnier like Black Mirror episodes ever.
Definitely.
Period.
It was really funny. And I think it was so close to being really good. And I think my biggest issue really and truly was the writing. The acting was good.
Yeah, the acting was great.
Like Annie Murphy and Salma Hayek had like really funny on-screen chemistry.
Salma Hayek was hilarious.
Salma Hayek was so funny. My favorite quote from this episode was, "Please don't kill me, Salma Hayek."
I also loved whenever she said, "You're Salma fucking Hayek," and Salma Hayek just goes, "Thank you."
Yeah. It was great,
Yeah.
but I think it was a little too over the top, if that makes sense, which is kind of like funny saying that about a Black Mirror episode because they're all over the top.
Yeah.
But it just felt like it just went a little bit too far. It lost me a little bit.
You know, it actually lost me too. And I want to say that I agree that the acting was really good. I thought it was really funny. Genuinely, I'm like I said before, one of the funniest Black Mirror episodes ever. What I didn't like about it was Black Mirror usually takes really extravagant storylines and concepts, but tries to make sense of it. Like it tries to give you like a basis in reality, and it tries to make you feel like, I know this is crazy and it would never happen, but also like it's kind of creepy and maybe it could happen.
Like the thought of it happening
like
fucks you up.
Like a Handmaid's Tale kind of vibe, where it's like, sure, this might never happen, but like it could. And I think the thing about Joan Is Awful was that it introduced us to the technology twist of Black Mirror. Like in every episode, there's usually like a twist that involves technology, right? That twist was introduced so fast, and then they never really explained it. Like they were just like, okay, so her life is being computer animated by CGI Salma Hayek, and we can in real time listen to her and, you know, develop these episodes in real time and post them the next day. Second issue is that because of that lack of explanation, there is just an abundance of plot holes, like a copious amount of plot holes. And the first one is when her and Salma Hayek break into the Streamberry, which is Netflix. When they break into Streamberry to destroy the computer, wouldn't they know? When they're having a conversation planning to destroy this computer, and Streamberry's developing an episode that's being released tomorrow, wouldn't they know that they were coming? And wouldn't they know that they were breaking in? And wouldn't they know that they had this plan? There was no... So when she finds out that it was all happening because they were listening to her through her phone, wouldn't you delete your phone? When she found out that they were allowed to do this because she like signed the terms and conditions of Streamberry, wouldn't she delete her account?
Right.
If she was being recognized everywhere, wouldn't she dye her hair back to normal?
It wasn't normal to begin with.
No, back to normal.
Okay, yeah.
It was not normal.
No.
So there were like all of these unbelievably massive plot points, and I feel like they really just went with this concept and they tried to lean too hard on the universe within a universe within a universe plan.
That was part of my issue, was it was like it didn't explain the technology enough, and then at the end they tried to explain the technology
all like rapidly, quickly,
super quick via Michael Sarah. I still don't get it. And it still doesn't all make sense. Because like you said, all of those plot holes you just pointed out are they're huge. Very huge, very glaring. And it's like Black Mirror's supposed to be smart. Yeah. And this didn't feel smart.
I agree with you.
And it was supposed to be about artificial intelligence, and it didn't feel intelligent. Like it felt like the Disney Channel's version of what AI is. You know what I mean? Like it was like Phil of the future.
I think also on top of being intelligent is that Black Mirror often has kind of like on the nose commentary about technology, but there's more subtle themes or motivations or what someone learns through the Black Mirror experience. But I felt like in this one, it was just like, let's just make the most obvious criticism of both the whole terms and conditions, social media, like we can steal your identity stuff. And also in Hollywood, there's the whole discussion, especially with like the writer's strike, about whether or not like ChatGPT could write television. And I just thought it was just so direct that it took me out, because I was just like, I know you guys are trying to make a point here, but like, just let me watch Annie Murphy and Selma Hayek.
I don't know, like it just felt very like stereotypical of like what everyone thinks would happen if AI took over.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I do feel a little bit like the shitting in the church moment was like a jump the shark moment, where I was like, you know, I know Annie Murphy is really funny. And like there were some scenes where like her Alexis accent came out at one point. Like her boyfriend gives her really like bland food and she tries it and he's like, oh, how's the food? And she goes, yeah, like I loved seeing those little parts of her. But I agree that it was just like too much, too on the nose, too like trying too hard to be funny, too hard to be ridiculous. That being said, what is your popcorn score?
This one was a small for me.
I'm gonna give it a medium, simply because I really do think that what you said right in your initial review is Annie Murphy and Selma Hayek's chemistry was hilarious to watch, and I would watch them in a movie again
for sure.
Hopefully in a much better written movie.
Hopefully so.
Also have an interesting idea for next season of Black Mirror. Hire me. They should do an episode where it is entirely written by ChatGPT.
Oh shit.
How meta would that be?
That would be crazy. I don't know if I can handle that.
I know, right?
Whew. Okay. Moving on to episode 2, Loch Henry. And the description of this one says, a young couple travel to a sleepy Scottish town to start work on a genteel nature documentary, but find themselves drawn to a juicy local story involving shocking events of the past. Switching it up a little bit.
I know. Oh my God, we're doing such new things
I've never, ever said this in my life. Abby, what were your thoughts about Loch Henry?
I feel so special. Wow, you get like a little soapbox at the beginning of every episode.
I know. Now the soapbox is yours.
Oh God, take it away.
Okay, starting the timer now, because this bitch could go on a while.
I could.
Okay,
I'm gonna be dramatic here and say that this was actually one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes I've ever watched. And I know that I am going to have a bias that leads me to that decision, which is that I love horror and I love true crime. And this was a blend of horror and true crime. They were shaking hands. They were best friends. To quote the character Pia in the episode, love it, love to see it, save. Which when she said that, I was like, oh my God, we say shit like that.
We talk like that. Like we literally talk like that.
We sometimes if we're just cooking dinner, we're like, love it, love to see it.
Yeah.
And when she said that, I was like, wait a second, is this like, did they write this about us?
Is this fucking play about us?
Fucking play about us? It was really intense in the right ways. It was really funny in the right ways. The actor who plays Podrick in Game of Thrones is in this, and he is so funny.
Stuart.
So funny.
I loved him so much.
Like there are these really funny moments, like when they're singing Scooby-Doo in the murder house, like as they're walking through the murder house. But then there's absolutely terrifying moments, like when they're in the murder house, they pour some lemon juice on the like counter because they're like, oh, it'll come up on blacklight. We're just trying to shoot B-roll. And when they turn the blacklight on and the entire room is covered, I like got a chill.
I just got chills again.
Yeah.
Thinking about that scene.
I thought it was a really well built episode. I thought it was really well timed. Like it was a shorter episode than normal. And I thought it really like moved quickly through things. I loved the twist. And the twist, to be honest with you, you're going to hate me for this. I knew his dad was involved.
You did?
I did.
How did you know?
I just knew. Because they made too much of a big deal about the dad that I was like, he's going to be I've seen too many Black Mirror episodes.
I know, true.
But the twist with the mom got me.
So you didn't know about the mom?
Did not know about the mom. And when I found that out, she was creepier than the dad.
100%.
Like, I was
so
fucking
afraid of her.
Dude, right? And I will say that my one critique of this entire episode was I hated Pia's death. I thought it was very odd. I thought they could have done more with her. There could have been a better chase scene with her and the mom. I think she could have maybe like killed the mom and like staged a suicide or something like that. Like there could have been a much better end to Pia's story, and I think she deserved a lot better.
You know what else Pia deserved?
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Pia deserved some motherfucking eyebrows. Okay.
Yes, she did.
All I wanted the entire episode was for Pia to just get some eyebrows.
Now, were they dyed? Was that the thing? They were blonde?
They were like, I think they were dyed blonde.
Okay.
Surely they weren't shaved.
I think they were dyed blonde.
They were dyed blonde, and it wasn't cute for her.
No, it was not.
I wanted her to just have some little eyebrows on.
And like we've seen her before. She was in Bodies.
Yeah.
And
she looked normal and cute.
And she did not have blonde eyebrows.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they were trying to make her look like an art student.
Which
she's
she
like a
did.
filmmaker.
Sure.
But I don't think they needed to.
She could have just had eyebrows and the whole story and episode would have been the same.
So what did you think of Lock Henry?
I also agree that it's one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes because, of course,
you're like a bigger true crime slut than I am.
Like I love true crime more than I love horror.
Yeah.
Like I love horror, but I love true crime more.
Yeah.
Like I'm devoted to true crime. And not in like a literal sense.
Sword and Scale, Crime Junkies,
morbid.
Netflix, documentaries.
Oh my God. Like
you name it, Caitlin's consumed it.
I love true crime so much. It is just an addiction of mine.
Yeah.
And that feels so basic to say because it just seems like every white girl now is like into true crime.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I felt like there were like several twists in this because I obviously like could tell when they got to this like isolated town that like something bad had happened there. And I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be like a true crime thing, but it was like, that was cool that it ended up being like, hey, like there was like this murder a long time ago. And then murders, and then they ended up switching and doing their documentary about that. And then I am a simpleton, so I did not know that the dad was going to be involved, so that was
You're not
twist.
a simpleton, it's just I think too far ahead.
You do. And also I did not know the mom was going to be involved.
Yeah.
And I think it was cool that it was like a twist within a twist within a twist. Like it was like the little Russian dolls of twists. And I really enjoyed all of the acting.
All of it,
I mean, Stewart honestly like acted circles around every one of my
great.
He was so precious. And also he's had like a glow up since Game of Thrones. So love you, Stewart. I just thought it was a really well written, well acted. I don't know that I have a critique. I mean, I do agree with you. I mean, the critique about the eyebrows for sure. That's my main bone to pick.
Yeah.
Also, Pia's thing, it kind of felt very like sudden and like
even just the way she died.
That's what I'm saying.
Like her head hit the rock, and I was like, "Wait, did she just pass
both were
out?"
Like, oh,
or
like she's dead. Like it was just kind of like, oh.
Even the sound design, like when her head hit the rock, it was like, Dunk.
Yeah, like that to me felt like that needed to play out a different way. But other than that, I loved it.
I loved it too, and I think going back to Joan Is Awful, how I said it was too on the nose, I think the great thing about Lock Henry is, sure, it was this overarching criticism of like the obsession with true crime, because once they do release the documentary, you see people wearing like the mask that the mom wears, and meanwhile this kid just lost his entire family and his girlfriend. And I think that really does put into perspective true crime is true, and when you're watching these stories, there is a real family behind the lens that this happened to. And most documentaries that I've seen like involve the family in some way, and I think it's more so like scripted true crime that kind of blurs those edges and is a little questionable. Like you and I couldn't finish
Dahmer.
Yeah, like you and I couldn't finish Dahmer. We just like couldn't. I think we got only like 2 or 3 episodes in, and we just were like, we can't do this.
No.
This episode was really good in its critiques and the way it handled that, but also for the people who are fans of it, like us, it was still interesting and like got us wrapped in and all of that. I actually have a theory about true crime. I think true crime is just the same thing about horror, like why a horror fan likes horror, is like it gets your adrenaline up and it makes you feel, you know, anxious and oh my God, what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, you know you're safe and you know it's not happening to you.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why so many women especially love true crime is because like a lot of crimes happen to women and a lot of women are just afraid of the world and like what could happen to them. And when they're watching these things, it's like it does get your adrenaline up, but that at the end of the day, when you turn that episode off, you know you're safe in your home.
I think that's part of it for me too. I feel like it's like it is so dissimilar to what my actual life is.
Yeah.
That it does kind of like bring me to reality at the end where I'm like, wow, like I'm okay. And like
and that's how I feel with horror.
Yeah. Like it's like, okay, like I'm actually okay and I don't need to be scared and like I'm all right.
I think we agree on this episode, so let's say it at the same time. Popcorn score 1, 2, 3 large. Moving on to episode 3 is Beyond the Sea, which the synopsis is in an alternative, that's a really hard phrase for me to say, in an alternative 1969, 2 men on a perilous high-tech mission wrestle with the consequences of an unimaginable tragedy. This episode stars Aaron Paul and, shocking to see, Josh Hartnett.
And the plot twist of them all, Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett joining us.
Where have you been?
They resurrected him from 2003. Maybe he was like frozen. Maybe he was like cryogenically frozen since 2003.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Honestly, anything's possible at this point. Years. No one has.
You know what though? He's looking good.
He's aging well.
I think I'm more into Josh Hartnett now than I was when he was a youngin'.
I do agree.
Now let's see if you agree on this episode.
Okay, I'm curious about this
I know.
one.
I'm very curious. What are your thoughts and feelings on Beyond the Sea?
I didn't love it.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons.
All right.
It was very long.
Yeah. It was a movie.
It was
an hour and 26 minutes.
And most of it was very boring. There were parts of it that were not boring, that were the opposite of boring. But there were very long stretches of it that moved very slow for me.
Okay.
I felt like I was floating through space, literally. Like I was like, where am I ever going to get off of this fucking rocket
You want to
ship?
just go night-night on one of their cozy space beds?
Yeah. But I just felt like much of this could have been deleted and it would have been the same episode.
I want to like slowly close my phone and just like cover up my review.
Uh-oh. Did you love it?
I loved this episode.
You loved it?
I adore this episode.
Oh my God.
This and Lock Henry are both in my top 10.
Oh shit.
Like Black Mirror episodes ever.
Okay.
Period. I thought it was beautiful.
Okay.
I thought it was maybe the best acted Black Mirror episode I've ever seen.
Okay.
Besides Bryce Dallas Howard's performance, that's I think iconic in a way. I was disturbed in all the right ways. I loved the setting. I loved the production design. I loved the cinematography. I loved the concept. It was like Don't Worry Darling meets Passengers. Like it was just, I don't know, it was a lot of pieces that all added up to something that like I really enjoy. And I loved the sci-fi. I don't know why. I love 1950s, 1960s sci-fi. I love it. Yeah. Like it really loops me in really quickly. And the concept was interesting and cool. They didn't over-explain, but they let us know what was going on. Like we understood how the link worked. We understood that they have these robots that are controlled by their consciousness. It all made sense to me. And both murder sequences and scenes were truly disturbing.
Yes. Those are the parts that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing, because you do like to, like, you always think ahead. And you do predict things sometimes out loud to me. Was when Josh Hartnett was going to go, like, back to Earth to, like, talk to Aaron Paul's wife. You were like, he's going to do it. And I was like, what? And you were like, he's going to go back and he's going to take his body and he's going to send him out to space.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, he's going to do it.
I know. That's what I thought was going to happen.
And then he murdered his whole family.
Josh Hartnett went way further than I thought he was going to go.
He went way far off
Dude,
field.
and I'm sorry, but that last shot of like Aaron Paul coming out of his sleep or whatever you want to call it, and Josh Hartnett's just sitting there looking at him and like kicks the chair out and is just like, sit down. The knowledge that neither of them can kill each other, because if they do, it is definite suicide, because they explained it, which again they explained it very nicely, was that it is a two-man ship. They have their very specific jobs, and if one of them dies, the other one can't take care of the ship by themselves. So basically it's like, either I'm gonna kill you and we both die, so it's like a murder suicide basically, or we're just gonna have to fucking sit in space together and figure this out,
deal with the fact that both our families have been murdered. It was
fucked up in the way that I like Black Mirror episodes to be fucked up, but it also had a lot of really human aspects to it, like the concept of Aaron Paul being out in outer space and technically speaking his wife is lonelier on Earth. Very interesting to me. You know, like just her, is it Kate Mara? I thought she did great in it too, and you know, she showed how even though her husband's consciousness returns, like he's not really there, and like she just is like, bro, like I'm lonely as fuck.
Like, you don't get it. This shit sucks. I don't want the robot. I want you.
I forget his name, but whoever the Culkin is,
it was just Rory
Culkin. He's just like made to be a cult leader. I think we've seen him in multiple things where he's a cult leader now. He was in the Mormon show.
Oh yeah,
Under the Banner of Heaven.
Yes.
And he was like in a cult, and he was creepy.
He's just a culty looking guy. He's a culty Culkin.
Get the fuck out of here. So I'm sorry you didn't love this episode. It was.
But here's the thing.
It's like one of my favorite movies this year. Like
truly, and that's my only issue with it. Like all those things you just said, I completely agree with you.
But what if it was a movie?
I would have loved it.
That treated like a movie.
Okay, so it was a movie, but I don't know.
You were just expecting it to be.
I wanted it to be tighter.
I know.
And it wasn't.
I'm sorry. Maybe another watch.
I will say I did cry.
You did.
In one part. And it was in that tight shot of Aaron Paul losing his shit. And I just he acted very well in this, I thought.
Oh, amazingly.
He acted with a capital A.
Yeah, he brought it.
Everybody did. Josh Hartnett
was great. Why was he better than he used to? Like, he is so good.
He's so good.
I hope he has like a little bit of a Hartnett renaissance, because he really deserves to have some more roles, because he was really good.
He was really good. They were very good together.
My goal, once I found out that you didn't like it, was to hopefully raise your score from a small to a medium.
It wasn't a small.
You were originally going to give it a medium?
I was going to give it a medium.
Okay.
I'm still going to give it a medium.
I'm sorry. I tried.
I think if I watched it again, like knowing that it's just going to feel long and it's going to feel like I'm watching a feature film, then I think I could give it a large.
Okay.
But at this current moment in time,
I'm going to make you watch this again.
I'm unable. I know you're going to.
I'm going to put it on like it's a movie.
Just like I'm going to make you watch Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, God. All right. It's a large for me.
Next up, we have episode 4, Maisie Day. A troubled starlet is dogged by invasive paparazzi while dealing with the consequences of a hit-and-run incident. So...
Oh, my God. I love this.
I love this.
Okay.
It's your turn again.
Ask me my opinion.
A Gemini's dream come true. Truly. Okay, Abby. Tell me your thoughts about Maisie Day.
Okay, so you know how Beyond the Sea was one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes? And you know how Loch Henry was one of my favorite episodes? Okay, this is maybe my least favorite episode of all time for Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I hated it. Okay. I really hated it. It did not feel like Black Mirror at all. To be honest, the first scenes where, you know, there's the actor that the photographer catches in a gay relationship, when she posts the pictures of him coming out of a hotel with a man and then he kills himself, I was like, oh fuck, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then it jumps right away to Maisie Day, who's the actress, and like right away she's doing drugs and runs over a man.
Yeah, immediately.
And so I was like, holy shit, like I was on board right away. I was like, this episode is fucked, like this is crazy. And I thought it was going to be obviously on the nose, a criticism of paparazzi culture and like celebrity in general and all that. And then it just fucking unraveled. And the way it unraveled was Maisie Day became a werewolf. I'm going to repeat that. Maisie Day became a werewolf. Or is a werewolf, was a werewolf. How did she become the man she ran over was a werewolf?
Correct.
That's right. And he bit her.
Correct.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's also where they lost me. That is definitely where,
dude,
I literally typed in my phone, not a werewolf.
Yeah. When she became a werewolf, you literally out loud went, oh no. You sound exactly like your mother.
Dude, literally, I was just like, hell no, this is not Black Mirror. This is like Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just felt very like CW.
It did. And it was just told in a really choppy way. The acting was...
Yeah, the acting was...
The two, like, side character paparazzi guys, I want to...
Some of the most annoying men.
Literally some of the most annoying men. I'm so happy they got eaten.
Me too. They
by Maisie Day. Maisie Day took them out.
Yeah.
But I know whenever they made it into the cabin and they saw her locked up, the second I saw the goats, I was like, fuck. Like, either she was going to turn into like a werewolf or something, or she was going to turn into like some other type of...
A goat?
Creature.
Yeah.
No, I thought the goat was like in Jurassic Park when they feed the dinosaur a goat.
Oh, I did not even understand why there were goats there.
Yeah, it was to feed her.
Got you. Okay.
But like also it was weird because she was chained to the bed, so she technically couldn't have gotten to the goats.
Yeah.
I don't know. So all that being said, I truly don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this episode. It was pretty short, pretty bad.
Pretty bad. A lot of camera flashes, and I'm not usually someone who struggles with photosensitivity.
Yeah,
but I genuinely had to close my eyes.
Did they
and
even
turn
have
away.
a warning for?
They did, I think.
Okay, because somebody who has epilepsy could absolutely go into shock.
I thought I was going to have a seizure, and I don't have epilepsy or any sort of medical condition.
Bad.
It was way over the top, and that really like turned me off. Also, I wish that it had just been what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it was just like, she's an unhinged actress and now she has to fucking deal with it. And they're going to someone's going to find out she killed the guy. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. And like, she was like an addict and they were going to find out she was an addict. They were going to find out she killed some dude in Czechoslovakia.
Right.
And it's going to be exposed somehow via camera. And none of that happened.
I also thought that they were going to develop a connection between, I don't know what Zazie Beetz, her character's name is. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But she's the paparazzi.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to make a connection between Maisie Day and her character because like she feels like she killed a man by like taking his picture. And she obviously actually killed a man. And so I thought they were going to like, you know, end up in a room together and like have this whole thing and like... I don't know. I thought it was going to be more of like a think piece and like less about that. And I don't know where I thought it was going, but it was not a werewolf situation.
No.
And I was very disappointed in it. Disappointed by the writing, by even just like, it just didn't feel like Black Mirror.
I told you it felt like the CW. Something you would watch on the CW on like a Friday night. I don't know.
All right. Well, popcorn score?
Yeah. Small. That'll do it.
That'll do her. All right. And now the final episode, which I'm actually really excited to hear your thoughts on this episode because it is a very also different episode than most Black Mirror. Demon 79. In Northern England, 1979, a meek sales assistant is told she must commit terrible acts to prevent a disaster. Caitlin, what are your thoughts and feelings on Demon 79?
I loved it.
Yes.
this is also one of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror.
Oh my God.
And I was hooked immediately.
Yeah.
When it started. It felt like it was like a Hitchcock movie. It felt like it was like a horror movie from that time period. I had a whole Hitchcock era.
Yeah.
And I just have like a really kind of affinity for horror of that time period and just the style of horror. And so I knew I was going to love it as soon as it started.
Yeah.
And it absolutely met my expectations of what I thought it was going to be and kind of exceeded it. I thought it was a really cool concept. I thought the idea of there being a charming, funny demon
dressed as a 1970s
dressed as
pimp.
a member from Boney M was like somehow very niche to me. Like it felt like that's what I wanted a demon to be portrayed as, and I didn't even know that about myself. I thought he was incredible.
He was fantastic.
He was absolutely, like, I don't know what word to use besides like electric. Like his energy was so contagious.
Yeah.
Even before we saw him, I liked him. Just his voice and how he was talking,
like through the
talisman.
Yeah.
I thought he was funny. I thought he was charming. I thought he was precious. I thought he ate.
Yeah. He
and left like zero crumbs. I thought Nita, I don't know what the actress's name is.
And Jana Vasan.
Okay.
I want to say.
I thought she did an amazing job. I thought they had wonderful chemistry together. I thought the story was great. I just loved this episode. I don't like, there's not a thing I would have changed about it.
I am so happy that you love this episode. I don't think that this is like a shock to you that I also liked this episode. And I think, you know, you hearken to Hitchcock. It reminded me a lot of the type of horror that I love, which is late 70s, early 80s horror, which is Halloween and like Black Christmas and like Friday the 13th, like that kind of energy. And right off the rip, it was 70s horror graphics. It was 70s horror, like grain, like film grain. I don't know if they shot it on film, but like they made it look like it was from that time period. The music very much reminded me of Halloween, where there were a lot of like really soft piano key songs to build tension, where it was like ding, ding.
Kind of like synthy kind of sounding.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of like the Halloween theme.
Yeah.
And so almost immediately I was drawn in by just the whole vibe of it.
100%.
And then obviously I was drawn in by both of the characters, the two leads. I thought they were fantastic. I thought this was like the good telling of Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing was like she had to kill 3 people to stop the apocalypse with the help of this demon. And as I was watching it, I was like, this is what I wish Knock at the Cabin was like.
Yeah.
Knock at the Cabin was just so melodramatic. I mean, it was Shyamalan, so he is melodramatic. But I loved the humor. I loved the like tense moments and like the slight horror moments. Like that basement was really freaky.
Yeah, it really was.
And I also just absolutely love this episode. I think you're really rooting for her to kill everyone.
Okay, I literally had that in my notes. I was like, not Black Mirror making us root for murder. Literally cheering for her.
I know that the apocalypse happened, so technically speaking, like the politician doesn't come to power.
Sure.
But like I really wanted her to kill him. Like I desperately wanted her to kill him. And the whole thing, I was actually kind of a little bit surprised that the apocalypse did happen and she didn't get away with killing him, because I thought they were really setting up, you know, her experience as, I don't know if she's Indian or Pakistani, but her experience in that time period in England, tons of racism and just her like internal frustration of having to deal with everyone's shit all the time. And I thought she was really going to like have like a win for her and her people by taking out this like massive mega racist who's basically gonna like have like a genocide on brown people in England. And so I was really rooting for her to kill him. And I understand, like, I get why they went the other way. I think it was probably more of like a bombastic ending and like
bombastic
side eye. And I also get why they put this at the very end, because it kind of was like a big like culmination to the end of the season. But a little part of me really wanted her to whack the politician.
Know. A little part of me also wanted her to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie, it was kind of like cute to see them like going off into oblivion together.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're cute.
They're so
I
sweet.
like it. I hope they live happily ever after in oblivion.
They will.
They absolutely will. They already are.
It was funny because a lot of Black Mirror episodes really end with negativity and like
where you're just like, oh,
you're just feeling like, oh my God. And even though this episode ended with the end of the world, them going off into oblivion and like this very likable demon and this really likable person, even though she commits murder, she's never loses her integrity.
No, not at all.
Never. Even when she like finally is like, I want to kill somebody, she wants to kill the politician for noble reasons.
Yeah.
So she at no point loses a sense of herself.
No, not at all.
And I also just like also low-key wanted to see her kill Vicky, because Vicky, the racist bitch from her shoe department, Vicky deserved to be just knocked with a hammer.
Agreed.
I wanted her to actually put her face through the glass.
Me too.
Like,
that would have been so badass.
No. But I mean, going back to her actually like keeping her integrity while she's faced with this circumstance, I really thought one of the highlights of the entire episode was actually not a murder sequence or something funny. It was when she gets in the tussle with the witness and she kills an innocent person. And right after she stabs him, she is like apologizing to him while he's dying. And I thought it was a really well acted scene. And I also showed that like, even though she's on her, you know, now third murder, she's still like, this is fucking her up.
Yeah.
And the fact that she knows nothing about him, he's not a pedophile, he hasn't killed his wife, she doesn't know anything about him. And so you see that panic and that moment of like, oh fuck, like I don't even know if you're bad. Like,
yeah.
So I completely agree with you that this episode was great.
Yep.
And I'm really glad you liked it too.
I loved it.
What's your popcorn score?
A large.
Same. What is your popcorn score for the whole season?
A medium.
Medium? I think that's fair, because I think you had two smalls, a medium, and two larges. I'm going to give it a large.
Are you really?
Yeah,
wow.
I think Maisie Day was the only one that I genuinely hated. And Joan Is Awful was a medium, but I think it was still redeemable and doesn't take away from the three that I like absolutely adored. I thought this season was way better than 5-4 also, like both 4 and 5. Obviously every season of Black Mirror has a standout episode.
Sure. And
I think what was really interesting about this was that like I don't have a standout episode that I would be like, this is the one.
I know.
Like Loch Henry and Beyond the Sea are more full larges than I would give Demon 79. But like I loved all three of them so much.
I know.
And it was just like I can't even like pick a standout, which usually that means in Black Mirror seasons that like one is really fucking good and the rest you kind of like churn through. So it was really enjoyable to sit through like a whole season that I loved. So
wow.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Look at us. Love it. Love to see it. Save. Thank you so much for joining us on our first television episode.
This was fun.
It was fun.
I liked it.
Yeah, I had a good time. I really had a dramatic moment the other night when I was explaining. I just need everyone to know this.
Oh my God.
I was explaining what Black Mirror meant to Caitlin. And instead of just being a person and saying it with my words, I said, do you know why they called it Black Mirror? And she's like, no, why? And I was like, do you want to know, or do you want to wait for the podcast? And she's like, oh no, you can just tell me now. My Gemini ass dramatically and silently leans forward and turns the TV off and points at the black screen of the TV. Which, like, that is the meaning.
That
it's,
is the meaning.
The black mirror is the black screen of technology. You're looking back at yourself and all the bad things about where technology can go and blah, blah, blah. It's a fantastic name. I think it's one of the best named shows out there.
I think so too.
But that was really dramatic, and I just need everyone to
dramatic. But very effective.
Right?
I'll never forget that.
You'll never forget that moment.
No.
All right. Well, I do not actually know when our next episode is because
neither do I.
We are vacationing next week.
A holiday.
A holiday. We have a friend coming in town, and then we're just going to be potatoes on the couch because we both have off work. And so we're just going to enjoy the holiday. So everybody else, please have a wonderful holiday week. I hope you have some time off work. And if you don't, I'm sure.
We're sorry.
Yeah. But please have your family save you a plate of hot dogs and hamburgers. And if not, just come to our house.
Yeah, we'll save you some.
We'll save you some. We'll save you a plate.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.